Okay. Welcome to another edition of the Ellipsis show. This episode, I'm going to do my best to explain the four harvests that are due to Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla O'Neill of Christian Concepts International. They have been my leaders since I was 21 years old. And during the time that Pastor Brian was ministering in Chicago, he brought in some seeds. And when he brought those seeds in, they were really small. They weren't mustard seeds, but they were small seeds. And I have the sermon tape. I don't remember being there when he did this. I just remember listening to the tape, and because I had been to enough Monday schools and been to enough scenarios where he was ministering, I could imagine as he brought the seeds and brought them to everybody. When he brought the seeds, he was trying to communicate. I'm sorry, not trying. He communicated that as long as we have faith that's this, at least this small physical size, that we'd be able to do great things. There's Bible scriptures that he brought up. And what I'm about to do in this particular episode is explain four different harvests that I know that Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla have due to them. And when that for some reason, seed time and harvest has been a really, really important topic to me. I don't know why. There was a thing that Pastor Brian said one time, and it was a tithing question. The lady asked, hey, I've got a disagreement with my husband about tithing or whatever the question was, and Pastor Brian, he gave an answer. And then the lady said, I tried that, Pastor. And when she said, I tried that, Pastor, she was probably well-intentioned. And I'm so glad that I had this recording because I listened to it multiple times. Pastor Brian's answer to me became one of my life ethos when it came to this Bible stuff and implementing scripture into my life in order to make certain things happen. Right? He said this is not an I tried that, Pastor, gospel. And I'm paraphrasing what he said. He went on to basically explain that if what you're doing is not working, go to God and work it out. Figure it out. And that idea is something that I would do. And by no means, number one, am I perfect? My wife could probably give you a laundry list of things that of where I have not applied scripture in my life. So this is by no means a self-righteous display of information. I would not classify what I'm about to explain as a prophetic word either. I've never called myself a prophet. And even though CCI, part of our brand or part of CCI, whether People consider me a member or not, because I don't know. Some people may not consider me a member. Some people may, but that, I guess that's debatable whether I'm a part or not. But what CCI is, one of the characteristics of CCI, Christian Concepts International, which is located at 19600 Glenbard Road. Just go to Christian Concepts. Go to ChristianConceptsIntl.com, and you should be able to see everything there. Or if you go to m3dots.com, I've got information about the church up there. Anyway, in Chicago Heights. So, when part of the DNA or one of the characteristics of CCI is that there are a bunch of prophets. A bunch of people who can say what thus saith the Lord is at any given moment. And I've never been in a scenario at CCI where they've said, Matt, why don't you give the word of the Lord? And so and I don't feel bad about that. Like, I don't feel underutilized or whatever. I'm a rapper. I'm a person that rappers, I do believe that every church needs a rapper and every rapper needs a church. I do believe that. And I believe that my time being assigned or being a part of Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla's life, or they being a part of my life more so than me being a part of their life, part of what happened is that Pastor Brian as a teacher and Pastor Carla as a mother figure, what I am able to do, or what I was able to do and still able to do, is take the Christian concepts that come, whether it be through a sermon, through a series of sermons, through an idea that Pastor Carla may say to me. I'm able to take something that is an idea or a concept and turn it into a tangible 4-minute song that embodies everything that the concept or the idea had. So all of that is in there, and it can become a mantra. It can become a rhythmic and poetic expression of whatever it is. The same way that hymns were made, so are my lyrics, so are my songs made. Pastor Brian, I could take everything Pastor Brian has ever said and I can put it into one song or 20 songs, and those songs would be just as accurate as Pastor Brian's sermons, because I've been able to digest what he's said and put them into words that not only I can listen to and understand and rehearse for my spirit and soul, but then the next level of that is, oh my God, other people listen to it and like the song and or use the song in their lives. Songs are able to set moods. Songs are able to do things that sermons can't do. Sermons, you got to sit and listen to it for an hour or however long the person is speaking. With songs, you sometimes you play the same song over and over and over, or you play songs and you want to listen to it for an hour if the song is good and it agrees with you or whatever. So anyway, these 4 harvests, the reason why I understand them and the reason why I'm talking about this the way I'm talking about it is because I don't expect anybody to believe what I'm saying. I don't expect Pastor Brian or Pastor Carla to fully, thoroughly understand or believe what I'm putting in this, what I'm saying. I don't expect the people around Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla, the leadership of the church, I don't expect anybody to believe it. And because and part of the reason why I don't expect it is because over the years I've made phone calls and I've talked about stuff, and I know the response that I've gotten. Not all of it is bad. Maybe I should not have been listened to. Maybe I should not have received any type of feedback that lets me know that what I'm saying is right or wrong. Maybe I deserve that, and I'm willing to accept that, because, and that's the reason why I need to make this recording and the couple of other recordings that I got to make. This one is more of a general idea about the four harvests. I can make it a little bit smaller. I'm probably going to do a version that's only 2 minutes long, because sometimes people's attention span are, Matt, you talk too long or whatever, but since I was 19, I would come every Sunday and Wednesday and Thursday and whatever time the doors would open, ever since I became a Christian, and all I would do is sit and I would listen to the sermons and take notes. I gave preachers and I've given preachers, I've logged many hours over the years of listening to sermons. I'm a 43-year-old man, and sermons are kind of annoying to me right now, because I've listened to sermons, I've listened to the rabbit trails, I've listened to the multiple closing of sermons, I've listened to so much stuff, I've listened to teachings, and all of that stuff was good and healthy for my soul. I'm at a point now where I'm ready to see the actions from those sermons. My life right now is going back through those sermons and seeing, did those things bear fruit? And that's why these four harvests are important, because as I went back to look at the fruit of these sermons, not just in Pastor Brian's life, but in other people's lives, but part of the fruit of Pastor Brian's life and ministry, and Pastor Carla's life and ministry, part of the fruit, I believe that I'm sitting on or looking at 4 different harvests that I'm aware of. There are probably a whole bunch of other harvests that Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla are due. There's probably a whole bunch. I just know about 4 of them. 3 of them I know very, very well. 1 of them I'm still learning. So here it is. The first harvest is called, I'm naming it, the 300 military. Okay? The second harvest, I'm naming it Chicagoans. The third harvest, I'm naming it Dollar Dozen. The fourth harvest, I'm naming it All Hands on Deck. These 4 harvests are probably named something else by someone else, because I know that because I'm not a prophet or anything like that, or consider myself a prophet. I know that there has to be a prophet. There has to be a prophet who, when I say this stuff, when I go into this, they should have already declared it and talked about it. I can't be the first one. If I'm the first one to, and they probably said it in a different form, and because CCI has the technology to record, and you can look at the streams and stuff like that, this stuff that I'm talking about should not be new information. I know if this is new information to anybody, I will be shocked. And I'll be a little bit sad, because if what I'm saying is new, then it causes me to question the prophetic abilities of our church, CCI. And that's one of the things that I'm getting sad about. You know what I'm saying? So here we go. Here we go. All right. 300 military. The shortest way that I can explain this is Pastor Brian, of all the pastors in the circle that I was a part of, out of all the pastors that I've tithed to, out of all the pastors that I spent lots of time listening to and lots of energy serving their ideas, Pastor Brian is the only one that did his best to pastor me and my family while I was traveling around for the military. I never asked the military to send me places. The one of the principles or the Christian concepts or the ideals of CCI spoken by Pastor Brian is be planted. And so I was planted. And before I joined CCI, the church I was a part of, God had told my wife and I to move 2 years before we did it. Because be planted. And I thought that God was wrong when he told us to move on. And so then when the church said, bye-bye now, leave, I was dismayed. But Pastor Brian, and this happened, we're talking about 2000, was it 2007, 2005? So we're talking about 2006 or 2007, roughly. 2005, 2000, somewhere between 2005, 2006, 2007. I had to remember it, because whenever we became a member, officially, it was after Pastor Brian was doing the 3 o'clock services, you know, at the location on the west side. And we made our $1,000 pledge, and we paid the $1,000 pledge, and we knew at that point, based on what was going on, man, So, Pastor Brian, before he started the church, he was my youth pastor, and he pastored me. Kevin Leal described in one of his sermons what it means when pastoring has occurred. When pastoring has occurred, you know that pastoring has occurred when such and such happens. And so I understood, and listen, I'm not going into that, but I know what pastoring looks like, not only because of what Kevin Leal said, and I saw that from Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla, but their leadership of me and my wife. But this is specifically about me in this context. Their leadership of me, it helped enrich my life, and it helped me get the most out of every experience out of every failure that I've been embroiled in, every scenario that has been good or bad, and every success. Pastor Brian's teachings and Pastor Carla's nurturing and mothering of everyone enabled me to get the most out of every season of my life since the time I began knowing them when I was 21. And I'm 43 years old. And so they've been a part of my life. I haven't talked to them about every decision. I never looked at them up until recently as moms and pops. I've never looked at them like that. I've always looked at them as, yes, general, yes, sir, blah. That's the way I've always looked at them. And they pastored me throughout all these years, in addition to pastoring everybody else. So they could only give me a certain amount of attention, and thank God for the little attention that they did give me. Thank God for the times that I did get a chance to interact with them. And I've always thanked God for that, because even though, because a lot of pastors, they will take your money. With no problem. But they won't always take your call. And Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla, they're not like that. And I thank God for them. And as of 2019, now it's December 1st, as I'm recording this, there are people like me. We're talking about to 21, 43, so that's 22, roughly, over 20 years, where they have been a part of my life, and now I'm an adult. I'm 24 years as a Christian. And so there are 300, at least 300 people like me that would benefit from the sermon that Pastor Brian has already done. Pastor Brian, this harvest of people, Pastor Brian doesn't even have to do much current work in order to receive this harvest. There's a few things that Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla will have to do, because just like when you're receiving a harvest, what do you do in this harvest time? You go out and you pull the harvest in. So there's a little bit of work that needs to be done in order to actively grab it. Just like if I told you, hey, I sent you $300 or whatever, you gotta get up and go to the mailbox in order to grab it. So there is going to be a little bit of activity that Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla have to do in order to pull that harvest in. But I'm telling you, it's there. I'm telling you that the harvest is there. These 300 military people, one of the places that you will find them, two of the places that you will find them, is at the Hines VA and the Brown VA. One is in Chicago, the Jesse Brown VA, and the Hines VA is right in Maywood. Those two locations, you will find people exactly like me who are ripe and ready for Pastor Brian's leadership. Do they know about Pastor Brian yet? The same way that God told Elijah, I believe, I've appointed a widow woman to sustain you. Did the lady know Elijah's coming? No, she didn't know that she was a harvest. She just was a harvest. And when the connection was made, both of them understood the divine connection. And one of the things that I'm supposed to do in this thing is help that divine connection happen. And I'm very, 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 very administrative about it. And I'm exact about it too. In other words, here's what I'm saying. The Toma VA up here, Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla, they are the country's leader. The place where I live at, this place is the country's leader in what's called whole health. Okay? That is something that Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla, in order to help bring in this 300 military people, that's a term that we all, you two and me, that we have to become familiar with and be able to know how to use it in a sentence, be able to understand what it is, and be able to incorporate that into things that we're doing. When I'm making songs, I'm gonna be incorporating that whole health because I sat into the seminars. I understand that whole health stuff. That stuff is very, 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 very important because those people, that's what they respond to. They respond to the whole health. When at the Toma VA, on the 4th of July, 5 police officers beat the crap out of me. On the 6th of July, 7 police officers beat the crap out of me. And it took me about 8 or 9 months to forgive those police officers for doing what they did to me. Part of the reason why I was even able to forgive them is because the VA said, the Toma VA said, listen, everybody, we can't fix all the problems done by the dummies that caused all these problems. But we've decided we are going to fully invest ourselves in this concept called whole health. And we promise you that we're going to be better. That helped me forgive those white police officers who didn't care that I was a veteran, who didn't care about my years of service, who didn't care that I was a Christian and I had been a Christian since 19, who didn't care that I don't have a double police record, whole health helped me be able to forgive them. Where did my ability to forgive come from? It came from the Bible and it came from being pastored. You got a bunch of people walking around who the VA has done them wrong, and it's not even the VA, it's people within the VA. And this whole health concept is helping these people. And it's a concept. And believe it or not, the whole health concept, you can find it in the Bible. That's one of the harvests, Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla, is 300 military people like me. If you understand, if you have any half of understanding of who I am and what you guys, how you guys bless me and all of that type of stuff, then you'll understand these people. I'm a gateway. I'm a clickable link to these people. These people are gonna come, but they're not just gonna show up at CCI. Because here's the thing, here's the challenge. I brought military people to CCI and CCI was not able to handle them. I brought a suicidal young lady, one of my soldiers. I went beyond what I'm supposed to do as a leader in the military. And I brought her to church with me. And while she was there, her experience of me bringing her there did not amount to what I can say my experience was with CCI and really you two, Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla. And so I've had personal experience to see that CCI as a church doesn't fully understand, not everybody, and I'm not saying everybody doesn't, but as a church, when I've brought military people, the experience is not, it's just not. It's not what it could be. And does that mean that CCI has to change? No. CCI needs to be what it is. If CCI is that, that's cool. CCI and military people, if we don't, right, you guys down the street, my God, down the street from CCI, if you go back to the main drag, you go back, you leave CCI, you go, okay, if you get into your car, and you go out of the parking lot, and you make a left. So now you drive down that road, and then you come to the main drag, Halstead. Then you make a right. When you make a right, and you start driving, you pass the viaduct, and then you pass the gas station on your right, and you pass where the old Walmart is. If you look to your left, there is a military community sitting right to the left. It's right there. That's not even on the list of the harvest. That's not even on. I said Jesse Brown, VA, which is in Chicago, and then Hines, which is in Maywood. Right there, there's a unit just sitting right there. Do you know how much I tried to get assigned to that unit just so I can be at church? Just so that when I come, people don't look at me like, where you been? Where you been? Well, are you still saved? And got to revalidate my Christianity, revalidate that I'm saved. And my point is that those people are right there. And one of my singers was stationed there for almost 2 years, and I know some of the people in there and some of the challenges that they got. But it's never been comfortable for me to say, hey, you should go to CCI. There's another church that's right there that's even a little bit closer to them. And the thing about it is that my point is that I had to realize that CCI as a church may not be able to handle the military people, but Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla have proven to me that they can care about military people. Because military people, they don't need all the nurturing that all the people that show up at church need. All I needed was some sermon tapes. I didn't need Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla to pray for me at all throughout the years. Because I know how to pray myself. I learned, how to pray on some stuff, like different levels of prayer, from watching Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla, and watching the church in action, but I can pray myself. I don't need anybody to pray for me. Now, when we brought our children there and get them to prophesy over them, man, that's a blessing. Part of the 300, they got children. Part of the 300, they got a pension. Part of the 300, they got mental problems. Part of the 300, they become foot soldiers. And they're serious about it. Part of the 300, this 300 military people, they are similar to me. I'm the seed, and these 300 are the harvest. And they belong to you, Pastor Brian, and you, Pastor Carla. And one of the things I'm grateful for Pastor Carla, this is what she said about the 300, right? Let me see if I can find, let's see, Pastor Carla. Here it is, Pastor Carla. Oh, snaps. Oh my God, wait, is this 2008? Oh my goodness, wait a minute. See, I got an iPhone and I can't, let me think, doggone it. Okay. Hold on, let me do this right. Let me find this right. I pull. Okay. Let me see if I can find. Okay. Darn it. I'm talking about Pastor Carla. I'm so grateful that she sent me an email. Okay, here's what she said in one of the text messages. She said, Matt, why would you send, if this harvest belongs to my husband and me? That's what she said. If this harvest belongs to my husband and me, why would you send them to Bill Winston? And I'm so glad she said that, because I needed to be challenged about that, because the thing about it is, this is what she did for me. This is what you did, Pastor Carla, when you challenged me with that text message. Because here's the thing, to a degree, I try my best to not be a brat. In other words, my daughter will come to me sometimes and she will grab my face and say, Daddy, pay attention to me right now. I need to tell you something. And then I say, okay, you have my attention. And then whatever she tells me is small. It's small to me, but it's huge to her. So I recognize that when I do stuff, I might be, pay attention to me, but it's small. Okay? And that's why I got to do it like this and put it into a video, because I got to move on. I have to move on because I've got work to do, because there's a bunch of different harvests. The harvest is plenty. The laborers are few. And so God started showing me all these harvests that are out there. So I need to make this content, not because this is not the only one that I got to make. And as you can see, I'm still on one of the harvests. There's so much that I can say about this freaking 300 military harvest. So I'm going to get to the last point that I was going to make. Pastor Carla's Pastor Carla's challenge to me of why would you send him to Bill Winston is a response to me saying, Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla, I have some information for you about the military, 300 military harvest. I hadn't named it this until now, but whatever I said about him at that point, then I said, do you want them, or should I send them to Bill Winston? Because they're coming. That's the point. The point is these 300 military that are the harvest, they're coming. And if Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla are not mentally ready for what that means, then I need to send them somewhere where I know that they've got the best ability to be cared for. Not that Bill Winston's ministry is better than CCI. It's not. It's not better at all. It's not better. But there's a military unit right next door that I used to go to, and that is part of my home, right next door to Living Word. And all I have to do in order to make sure this harvest goes where it's got to go, all I got to do is suit up and go there sometimes. And then those people, I'm able to grab them and I'm able to show them, hey, this is why God sent you here to them, to Pastor Bill Winston. Because sometimes people get sent somewhere and they don't know why. I know how to explain the why people get sent places. I understand. I don't know why I understand that stuff, but I do. I just do. I'm a military guy, and I know why we get sent as military people to go do stuff. I understand that stuff, and somehow, because I understand it in the natural, I understand it in the kingdom of God, and I'm functioning as a kingdom ambassador anyway. So, the final thing that I'll say about the 300 military harvest. So let me finish the point. She said, why would you send them over there when they belong to us? That challenged me to be patient. I need to be patient. Just like with my daughter, baby, be patient. Matt, be patient. So, my way of being patient is I work on other stuff. That's my way of being patient. I don't just sit Now, I can, because over the past 20 years, that's what I did at church. Sit and listen and be patient. At this point in my life, there's a lot of things moving, and I have a lot of chess pieces on the board that I've got to move by a certain time in order to get the results that I'm supposed to get, which means I can't wait, and I've already done that. When I get to the when I get to the dollar does it harvest, I thought that harvest, we still got to get it. That harvest has been sitting at the church since 2014. I just found this out within the past, 3 weeks or so, less than a month. So I'm fascinated by how this harvest stuff works. I'm fascinated. All right, so 300 million. So no, Pastor Carla. So to answer your question, ma'am, no. Bill Winston got his own harvests going on. These harvests are yours. I am going to be patient with you both, just as you've been patient with me over all these years. And we're going to bring in this harvest like we're supposed to. And this harvest does not belong to the church. This harvest does not belong to CCI. CCI as a church, sort of, I'm not saying, I don't know for sure on everything, but CCI as an entity did not do for me what Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla, what you both have done for me. The things that you guys have done, there are churches in my life that they've done the same thing. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it'll be the members that'll call me, or the members that will do some stuff or whatever. So I know what it means to have a relationship with a community. You know what I'm saying? Being here in Toma, I'm in a city. This whole community, there are people who represent certain entities within the community who have come to me and said, Matt, here, this is for you. Matt, this is for you. Hey, and my family, this is for you. This is for you. This is for you. This is for you. And it's like, whoa, wow, you guys are setting us up for success. Thank you, Lord. And a lot of that is harvest stuff. So that's another element of it. But bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. That's why I'm saying the 4 harvests, this one and the second one are specifically they are specifically Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla. When those harvests come in, I'm not saying you're not going to share with the church, but you would not be, in my mind, you would not be out of bounds to set up Brian O'Neill Ministries or BKO Ministries. And when you know that it's this particular group of people, when you find out that they're military of any sort, military past, future military, currently serving, separated from the military, mad at the military, happy about the military. These people are gonna come in all sorts of freaking flavors. Beard, homeless military. Okay, it's a whole bunch of me's out there that are different types. That I'm a gateway. That I'm the freaking clickable link, and then it leads you to all these different types of military people. All of them, from homeless vets all the way up to freaking generals. Straight up. Okay, out of this, that 300. And you know, Pastor Brian, you done seen the movie 300. You could take 300 men, 300 soldiers, you can take care of some business. CCI can do what it does. You've got a whole nother scenario. You got a whole group of people. These 300, when you put these people together, they understand mobilization. They understand deployment. They understand being undercover. They understand going somewhere and being connected They understand being a CCI citizen, but living somewhere and not having communication and contact with the leader for years and still bring home the goods. These people understand that. These people, some of these people are going to respond well to something you did years ago, which was talking about the Willie Lynch letter. Pastor Brian, these people will respond to that. Matter of fact, let me move on to the second group. I'm about to put out, Pastor Brian, you did something where you talked for a long time. Oh my God, this was one of the best times because this was new for me from you for years at that point. I listened to, so sometimes I would come to church, Pastor Brian, and I would listen to you talk, and I would listen to you do your sermons or whatever, and I would feel like, okay, I've heard this before. This is my 8th time hearing this iteration of discussion. So my mind would wander and then certain things would pop up and then I would start making these witty little inventions. For instance, the Dollar Does It song, right? Or for instance, well, All Hands on Deck, that's a different assignment or whatever, but I got a whole bunch of different little things like that I started creating because I had been in the class before. You know what I'm saying? But you're giving these people, it sounds new to them, but I'm in my 8th or 9th iteration of whatever's going on. Nothing's new under the sun. Do you know what I'm saying? And you understand addition and subtraction because you went through the earlier iteration of understanding the numbers. And it builds from there. So now I can get to trigonometry, but when you're talking addition and subtraction, my mind is going to wander a little bit, but I'm going to catch something because I'm still listening, obviously. Anyway, here's my point. You talked about on this particular day, Pastor Brian, you were talking about the Willie Lynch letter. I cannot wait to let you hear what you said. I'm talking about I listened to it and I was so grateful I was recording video and audio just in case the video goes down. And I got it. And I dragged it over so your son has the video footage also. And it was that time when you and Pastor Watkins came to the church. When we were up in the mezzanine or that other room outside of the main sanctuary. Man, I'm talking about that was some powerful stuff. 300 military, not all of them of the 300 military will appreciate that, but some of the 300 military will appreciate that. But the Chicagoans, man, please. That Willie Lynch stuff, that right there, that's going to help bring in that group, that harvest. So here's what I got planned for the 300 military and the Chicagoans. Okay, let me tell you what I got planned for them. So remember, I sent you a text, Pastor Brian, to let you know that on the 4th of December, which today is the 1st, so this coming Wednesday. On Tuesday night, I'm leaving work and I'm suiting up and I'm finna come out to Chicago. I got a funeral to go to on the south side of Chicago on the 4th. So I'm gonna spend my day working on your harvest, working on I'm gonna work on all 4 harvests, right? But I'm gonna work on, oh snaps, the water. That's what. Okay, I got it. I'm starting to figure out the doggone all hands on deck harvest because I still don't fully understand it, but the water is part of that one. All right, let me make this organized. Okay, here it is. Number 1, the 300 military harvest. What I'm about to do is when I come down to Illinois, I'm gonna go to the Jesse Brown VA and the Hines VA, and I'm gonna go connect with the music therapists of both, and then I'm the national VA rap champion. So I'm about to bring them materials to let them know, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'm also the public affairs. I am the public affairs volunteer, and eventually, the Toma VA is using the using the Mad Ellipsis show to help them put out good information. So, and then the VA, the Creative Arts Festival, is also using the Mad Ellipsis show to put out information. So I'm connected with, now I'm part of the VA in certain aspects, the public affairs part of it, and the music therapy creative arts festival part of it, right? So now my reach, I'm gonna go down to the Hines VA and the Brown VA, and I'm gonna say, hey, listen, guess what? I'm the point of contact for this and that and this. When those people come, or as you do your thing, let them know, get in touch with me. So then I'll have their Facebook, I'll have their email, I'll have their phone numbers, whatever information that I need, because when I get a person, I take the whole thing. I get everything that I can so that I'm connected with that person, and I talk to them throughout the month, I talk to them throughout the year, we become friends. My wife called me a people collector. I know how to do it. Like United States Army Reserve Command, they know every single soldier in the entire reserve unit. Wherever they're at, the USARC knows them. All they gotta do is punch up a couple of buttons, and then they got everything. They got their whole history, everything. That's what I'm set up to do. So the 300, I'm gonna be paying attention specifically, because here's an example. There's a dude, I went to Walmart. Now after I explained this and put it out to a couple of people, meaning I talked to Pastor Chris, I talked a little bit to Pastor Larry, and then I sent you the information that I sent you that Pastor Carla responded back to, or whatever. And so it's out there, but I haven't fully explained it like I'm explaining now. And I'm trying my best to explain it, okay? So I'm going into Walmart out here in Toma. I see a 61-year-old dude. I said, sir, you're military and you're at the you go to the Toma VA. He said, yeah, I got the audio of this too, because I'm always recording for radio. I said, listen, I'm the radio guy here, and I'm coming out to the Brown VA and the Hines VA on the 4th. He said, I'm gonna be over at the Brown VA on the 4th, because that's when I get transferred back. I said, well, what you been up here for? He tells me a little bit of a story of how he got up there and what blah blah blah, and it's because Toma VA is the leader for all the VAs related to whole health. So he came up here so that they can do what they do, and now he's being transferred back to receive his care at the Brown VA, which is not a mess. The Brown VA and the Hines VA, they're not a mess, but it's a lot of people. Lots of people. It's a lot of people. And a lot of black people. A lot of people that need some help. Lot of people with lots of problems. If anybody, if you want to do a healing service, don't do it in the four walls of the church. Skip the four walls in the church. You just go into the Hines and the Brown VA, and then you go around. You can just go into the chapel there. No money needs to exchange hands. You just go up in there, and guess what? You can practice on them people, and you'll be healing them. I'm telling you, it's there. Now, whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna make my first initial boom setup, put my first couple of stakes in the ground. There's more work that I'm gonna be able to do over some time, because when you bring it in 300 people so that you can care for them, because listen, Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla, listen, you're not gonna be doing this by yourself. I'm totally in this thing. That's why I gotta be at broadcast level, because I gotta put out information for a lot of people, because just like Pastor Brian, when you would preach and you would talk to different people, you would talk to everybody, but then God would be using what you're saying for each individual person. Same thing with broadcast. I gotta put the stuff out there the best way that I can, and then I'll be able to tailor it for each of the different people groups that I have reason to bless. So now, so that's what I'm gonna be doing this coming Wednesday. If you're listening, if you finally watch this after the 4th, then here's what will have been done on the 4th of December 2019. I will have went to both VA locations and connected with my music therapist counterparts at the Heinz and the Brown VA. Number 2, I will have interacted and recorded audio of interactions with different veterans as I walk through and point them to whatever, get their information, blah, blah, blah. Then 3, I will have an assessment of these people based on whatever God is telling me about these people and about these locations and what I see. Because I'm going to walk the halls, I'm going to walk around, and I'm going to say, God, okay, what is it that you want me to know? And I'll be taking notes so that I can put it into my report so I can give it to whoever needs to know this information. Okay? So those 3 things will have been done on the 4th. Hell or high water, if you don't hear from me, those 3 things will definitely be done. Now, to the Chicagoan. Now this is the second people group. Okay? I'm not gonna go deep into the Chicagoan one. I just need to do probably a video. If we talk on the phone and I explain this, I don't gotta make a video. Okay? If I can explain this, but the thing about it is, then the conversation lasts a long time and I'm taking you from whatever you're doing. You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to respect your time. I'm trying to respect what you're doing. But this stuff needs work. If my son or my daughter came down to me and said, Daddy, there's somebody at the door, I may be busy working on something, but I need to at least pay attention. Okay, somebody's at the door. Maybe I need to pause what I'm doing and go check it out or whatever. And that's kind of what I'm saying. There's some people coming to the door. Maybe not coming directly to CCI, but I'm going to tell you something. The 300 military and the Chicagoans, some of the Chicagoans are going to come to CCI if you set it up like that. But wherever you set up your storehouse for the 300 military, that's where they'll be at. My recommendation, Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla, is you set up BKO Ministries online and we make it so that the ministry goes directly to them, so that their response and financial support goes directly to y'all, not to the CCI. You know, I think Bria, she runs the website with all that type of stuff. This should be separate. Not saying that I'm gonna be watching the money, because I don't care about the money. Whatever money they give, that's all to you. I don't need $0 of it. I got my own harvest going on that I don't need no money. I don't need to complicate this thing whatsoever. All I need is the people and the understanding of who they are, so that I can make sure that I can say, Pastor Brian, here's the stuff in your catalog that specifically addresses these people. You see what I'm saying? I know how to talk to these people. These are my people. These people are me. I'm the seed. These people are the harvest. I am these people. These people raised me. These people created opportunities for me. These people are these 300 military people. These are my people. These are my people. These are the people I love. These are the people I want to serve. These veterans, I wouldn't be in this scenario if it had not been for the sacrifices that a lot of these people have made. These people are Purple Heart recipients. These people have been shot at, been taken hostage. These people have been to war. These people have been beat up. These people have had a lot of stuff happen to them. These are war-torn. Man, these are my people. These are my people. These 300 military people, these are my people. And I've already brought some of my people to CCI and it don't work. But God brought me to you, Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla, and it works. It works. You too. This is your harvest. This is your harvest. These will be people who got enough money to just say, here you go. Because Lord knows, Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla, I ain't got no problem. You put $100,000 in my account, and you know, if my wife is satisfied with the bills being paid as they are or whatever, I ain't got no problem giving you whatever I got. No problem. Because you guys spend a lot of time blessing me. This is your harvest. These 300 people. Didn't nobody else earn this harvest? You guys did. Both you, Pastor Brian, and you, Pastor Carla. You both earned this harvest. Nobody else did. And I would actually add your children earned it too, because they used to sit in the back seat and do their homework while you guys were out there laboring and teaching us and stuff like that. So, to the Chicagoan harvest. The third thing that I'm going to do that with the Hines VA and the Brown VA. Those three things. When I go, I'm going to go over to CAN TV. CAN TV has been waiting for CCI, for BKO Ministries, for me and my show, and for anybody in Chicago, the Chicagoland area, waiting for any of us to come bring our content to their station. They've been waiting. They've been waiting patiently. They've been waiting without making us feel bad. But when I go down there, where's your show at? When is the show coming? And so finally, I'm in a position where I'm going down there and I'm finna set my stuff up on CAN TV for sure. I'm doing this regardless of anybody else who want to do it. That's why I wanted to take you down there with me, Pastor Brian, so you can see what I'm talking about, how amazing the whole setup is. It's amazing. You don't need to do anything whatsoever. All you need to do is go down there to CAN TV and you're set up. Just set up. And just like it's going to be a little bit of work to get bringing that harvest of the 300 military, the Chicagoans, I don't know the number. All I know is that if you think of that, this is how you can figure out the number, Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla. Think about over your entire life, how many people have you blessed, taught, prayed for, cared for, etc., while you were standing in Chicago or wherever you were and those people were from Chicago at any given point in your life? Just imagine that number. What is that number? Whatever that number is, you take that whole number, right? Of course, there's people attached to that number, their families and their lives or whatever potential good or bad that you've done or whatever. Mostly good, of course. You take that number and you plant that in the ground. You plant it in the ground and then you wait for the harvest. That harvest is going to be so immense, so great, that it's going to make a lot of people salivate and be upset with you. This Chicagoan harvest that you got due to you, you're going to be taking a harvest that is going to be making people salivate and be disgusted. It's disgusting how immense this harvest is. It's ridiculous. And the thing about it is that it needed, based on some information that I was interacting with the Lord on over the past couple of days, it needed to wait this long. Because then no one can say that they did it for you. No one can say they did it for you. Nobody can say that they did it for you. This is all you. All Pastor Carla. That driving that y'all used to do from Country Club Hills or wherever you used to live at, with your children in the background, your children and you earned this harvest. The Chicagoans. That's what I'm naming it. All it requires is for your broadcast to be on CAN TV. And one of the broadcasts that I recommend is I need to take that information, sir, that you talked about, the Willie Lynch letter. When I put Pastor Brian O'Neill and some of the other kind of little snippets from other sermons or whatever else in there, and then they hear you talk about the Willie Lynch letter, you are going to have people in droves coming to interact with you. This free download was brought to you by M3dots.com. The Mad Ellipsis District. Pre-orders available now. M3dots.com. Thank you for your support. Crossroads, time to plan my life agenda. Tired of this minimum pay, minimum wage, being an 11-hour a day indentured slave, harboring anger, resentment, cause my talent sits dormant with dust built up. What's the dilly? Just because I'm not discussing smoking Phillies, average b-boy won't feel me. Please, if I got to flip a verse in Chinese, I'ma bring the industry principalities to the knees with the ease of the steez as I appease your spiritual appetite. Now with Buddha, Tai Chi, or Ali, right cross movement as a fanatic and graphic erratic. Kids that still keep at it, garage of the attic, back of the car while I practice church of the bar while I rap it. Environment, it don't matter, I change it. Thermostatic, emphatic, rap addict, injecting the cannon, have at it, I bought it, I ride it. You grab it, I tap it, my blessings like water. Alright, so the battery died, and so it doesn't look like, you know, anything happened, so I put a little music in there just to kind of make the transition work good. So the Chicagoan harvest is a very important harvest, and so the way that we're going to bring in this harvest is we are going to broadcast into Chicago in two ways. Now, one of them is CAN TV. With CAN TV, we can create our broadcasts however we create them, and then we get them down there to the station, and then they put it on at whatever time, and then we publicize the times that or whatever. And if we do it right, then the Pastor Brian centered show will garner a lot of people watching it or knowing that it exists, and that's only one way. So we're not turning you into a TV star per se, but just like there are preachers that are on television, you watch them or you don't watch them. Judge shows, you watch them or you don't watch them. So it's not about the fact that it's on TV and everybody's gonna stop watching what they normally would watch just to watch CAN TV. It's not necessarily about how many people are viewing you in comparison to others. It's the main point is that you're an option. Right now, Pastor Brian O'Neill ministry TV show ain't even an option for people to watch, right? And believe it or not, you'll be able to take whatever material you make, whatever material is made. Yeah, you got your you have your Facebook Lives, so people can just go to the Facebook Lives, but it's under the name of the church. You know, it's not, you know, when people want to watch a TV show, they'll either look up the name of an actor or they'll look up the name of the show. So now a catchy name of the show is what's necessary. You know what I'm saying? So now we become television show producers in order to make the broadcast or whatever. And if you think about it, and this is the way that it should be viewed, what Apostle John was at 5 o'clock in the morning was he was just present for duty. He did his sermon on Sunday and then he was asleep, but the content was working for him. Every day at 5 o'clock in the morning, I would turn on Apostle John and get mentored, pastored by him, knowing that he was the pastor of my pastor at the time. You see what I'm saying? So I may not be able to get down to CC Crusaders Church South But I'm able to hear Apostle John directly because thank God they had a broadcast. I never sent any money into the broadcast or whatever. I thought that the very fact that I was paying my tithes at that church, that, you know, however that whole apostle thing worked, plant the church, plant this, we tied to the church, and the church tied, you know, somehow this information is coming to me because, doggone it, you know, I'm part of the construct. So I willingly, gladly listened or whatever and never sent money into the broadcast. I never saw myself as, you know, I never saw myself as a person who is a tappable money source. I didn't see myself as that. I saw myself as I'm part of the Crusaders framework, I'm part of the construct, and listening to Apostle John's sermons are just as important as me going to and listening to, you know, what was going on, you know, at CCW at the time. Buying Apostle John's books, I didn't look at him as I'm a fan of his and I'm buying his book because, ooh, I'm buying his book. No, I looked at it, and I believe that my wife looked at it as this was very necessary information for me. So the way that I'm going to treat if I'm involved. Now listen, Pastor Brian, in terms of the Chicagoans one, you don't even need me to be involved for this particular harvest. I'm going to be doing the same thing for myself. You see what I'm saying? So when I deliver content down to the station, I'm going there with Matt Ellipsis show stuff. I'm going there with Conclave Download stuff. I'm be going there with a whole bunch of my content and content from people that are within the Matt Ellipsis district stuff, because Chicago is a harvest, is a plenty harvest situation. So it's enough for everybody in Chicago and those that will be reached by that. So I'm just doing that is just one piece of a multi-piece media entry into grabbing this harvest. You gotta have more. We have to have more than just, you can't pull a car with just one strap. You got to have everything kind of in place so you can pull that thing and pull that harvest in. So here it is. So Can TV is one thing. I'm gonna go down and visit them. The second thing that I'm gonna do in this vein, and this one is more tailored to me, but will benefit you if it works the way that I want it to work. Moody Radio. I've been in the military with a Moody Radio person who is a steward of the church and of the radio ministry and of other things that Moody has going on, their portfolio. And so I'm going there to go visit this person so that I can follow up on a previous meeting that was a follow-up to another meeting, which was a follow-up to our relationship that we've built for years. I've known this man for years, and now we're able to, hopefully, if it works the way that I planned for it to work, and things have been going better than planned, because this was a long road to get to this point. I'm so grateful to God that I'm in this position. So I'm about to go and I'm about to interact with them so that I can take some of my already made content, as well as content that I'm going to be making, and get them to find me a slot on Moody Radio, any time slot. 15 minutes, half an hour, 2 hours, 7 hours, whatever. Whatever they got going on for me, I am going to take it. And Matt Ellipsis stuff is going to be front and center Moody Radio. That's what I'm going on the 4th. That's where I'm headed. Now, to be the radio game that CCW and others used to play was they would pay for radio time, and then whoever would listen at whatever the time slot was. And those radio stations, instead of doing for the ministries that would pay for their airtime, instead of doing for them what they would do for the artists and radio shows that were using commercials, instead of loving on them with that level of precision, they would treat the ministries like, the word that comes to mind is scum, but they would treat them like bunk beds in a shelter. All right, this is your room. Die. That's the way they would treat. And I remember that when I was working on the Kim Henderson show, which she's now in Las Vegas, but she was doing terrestrial radio, and I would go with her down to Indiana, and I would help her do a show, and I was, kind of like her assistant and stuff like that. And I got a chance to learn, because wherever I go, I try to find try to understand the whole construct. So there was as a result of working on the Kim Henderson show, I ended up in this meeting with this dude who used to be the one who took the money from Apostle Daryl for being on radio, whenever that was, right? And he was encouraging me to get in touch with Pastor Daryl and Pastor Helen about restarting restarting their radio scenario. Now, that was way high for me to be in. You see what I'm saying? Pastor Daryl didn't send me down there. Pastor Helen, she didn't send me down there. They just, at the time, was I a member? No. At this particular point in my life, I was a member of CCI. So I wasn't even, on no CCW type of stuff. Within that was within 3 or 4 years of, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? So, but I did what he wanted, which was pass on the message. And Pastor Daryl and Pastor Helen, they never responded to me on that. You know what I'm saying? So, and they shouldn't have, because that dude was a scumbag. You know what I'm saying? When there was a woman that walked in, and I saw him, hey, so he's talking to me about ministry stuff, and then the lady walked in, hey. I was like, man, ain't this a trip? So, anyway, I learned the radio game. And working on this Kim Henderson show, one of the things I learned is we would go to these places. She would pay the money to be at these places, as well as other radio shows that I've been that I had done interviews, and when we were on Calculate Download, we were doing radio interviews and stuff like that. So we would go to these places, and you could hear it within 1,000 feet of the station. But a block away, you couldn't even hear the doggone thing. Like, wait a minute. We're going to do a radio show, and the only people that can hear it are the people that may be on this block, if they're listening. I said, this is some bull. And then I would find out their prices, and I didn't say it to their face, but I said, these jokers are robbing church, just scumbags. So over the years, I've developed, and here's the thing, here's what ended up happening. All the local radio stations, they gotta do online in order to be relevant. And I freaking love it, because it takes all the power away from those dummies taking advantage of church people. CAN TV, you do it for free. It's free. And terrestrial radio, if they were smart, they would sow into churches by giving them the free airtime. Man, I'm not even finna go into that, because I'm finna do it. I'm setting up radio stuff the way that it should work based on the kingdom. And I cannot wait to take the power away from all of these dummies, all of these radio money hungry dummies that have been taking advantage of church people for years. I can't wait to take their power. I can't wait. So the Chicagoans gonna start with CAN TV, and I'm going to be doing some stuff with Moody if everything works according to the way I'm gonna be working it. And then I'm also, but I can't do this on the 4th, but I've also got plans regarding all the other stations in Chicago. Me and God have already kind of touched on some of the stuff. Not everything am I going to put in place immediately, but in 2020, 2021, and 2022, I'll be able to get a majority, if not all, of that list specific to the radio stations done. Because terrestrial radio it's not on life support, but terrestrial radio is in the nursing home right now. And the only thing that's keeping it alive is online, the internet, the web. Bless the Lord. Though the terrestrial radio stations, they need advertisers. They need them. And they don't even treat them right. They don't need, all those commercials that you hear on radio stations, when you flip on terrestrial radio, terrestrial meaning AM and FM, Pastor Carla, Pastor Brian, they're not even treating their clients right. Does that mean that there needs to be CCI radio or a CCI radio station? Harvest is plenty, laborers are few. I don't even think that people are capable of thinking that big to make a radio station out of the church, like Moody made a radio station out of the church, and actually get it done. I don't have any confidence in church people to be on the same page, other than coming to church like sheep. That's all I got confidence in church people, unfortunately. I got confidence in one or two individuals based on whatever we've worked on. I got confidence. I've seen what Moody has done. And the guy gave me the big 100-year book, or 75 years or 100 years of Moody, where they started from the beginning. So I know the whole Moody story. I got it in a book right here at the house. And he walked me around so I see what any church could become. And they did it with terrestrial radio. Don't even need terrestrial radio anymore. All you need is a Facebook page. Don't even need a website. It's amazing right now. This is the most amazing harvestability time that I believe has ever existed. Thank you, Lord. So the Chicagoans, it's a crazy amount of harvest that the Chicagoans are. Now, so the 300 military, that's Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla. The Chicagoans, that's Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla, and your family. All the family members that sacrificed so that you, Pastor Carla, and you, Pastor Brian, could go and be a blessing to people in Chicago. This is you guys' harvest. The third harvest is the dollar dozen harvest. Now, here's the problem with the dollar dozen harvest. I had a conversation with Pastor Brian in 2018. And it hit me in the past month, thinking about that conversation. It hit me this month, the month of November. It hit me. Oh my God, Pastor Brian was talking about this, and I was talking about that. I named what I was talking about. I named it dollar dozen. And I don't know how the term dollar dozen came up. I don't know if I came up with it, or if Devon, I remember Devon saying something at some point, saying I came up with the name dollar dozen, or if Pastor Brian, you came up with dollar dozen. Whoever came up with dollar dozen, I attached that name to a process of seed time and harvest that was built in me before you started the church. So when you and I were talking about dollar dozen, I was hearing you, but it dawned on me that you were saying, you were meaning what you meant was different than what I was meaning. So this is a cup of coffee. Okay? So the name coffee and the name cup of coffee, everybody knows what it is. If this is a version of how ridiculous and dumb I am. Okay? The term cup of coffee is just a name, but it means something because everybody across the world knows, hey, give me a cup of coffee. Cup of coffee, need a cup of coffee. Give me a cup of coffee. Yeah, I have a cup of coffee. Yes, would you like a cup of coffee? I got my cup of coffee. We know what cup of coffee means. But by the time you met me in 2001, I had done part one of a 2-part process that pays for the building fund. That pays the building fund off. Before you started the church, before me and my wife gave the $1,000 pledge, so we're looking at 2002. So this is even before 2002. This is even before Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla. This is even before. I think it's even before you started the church officially. I believe that Robin was dealing with whatever she was going through with CCW in 2002. 2002 is when I got my orders to be mobilized to Fort McCoy. So in 2003, in January, now I'm gone for 2.5 years, still sending tithes. And we can look at the records. Somebody can easily look up the records. I was still sending tithes home. But by the time 2003 hit, part 2 had already been done. The seed time and harvest, what it takes to build a building, to pay off a building, those two pieces were in my heart, and I didn't know that they were there. I just knew that, just like a car. A car can go 100 miles an hour. You never use it, but it's capable of going 100 miles an hour if you are so willing to risk the ticket to go 100 miles an hour. But it can go 100 miles an hour. I had this capability, A and a B process. That's the A process happened before you met me in 1998 when I joined the church and joined the youth ministry. Part B was accomplished after you guys were no longer youth ministries at CCW, but before you started doing the going back. It was before you started actually going to different gyms or different locations and breaking down and putting up your sound system and stuff like that. Before that was going on, part B was done. So God had told me 2 years before we joined CCI, he told me to leave CCW and come to CCI, and I didn't do it. So not only did I have the process to pay off the building fund in my heart, God told me to move over to be with you guys, and I disobeyed, and I ended up coming there anyway because the pastor kicked me out. Okay? So I was destined, and there was nowhere else for me to go. I wasn't going anywhere else but to you guys. Period. So I was destined to be a part of the building fund scenario. I know I was now. All this information, I'm learning this in the past month. Okay? Now, cup of coffee. If you, Pastor Brian, this is how dumb I am. If you, Pastor Brian, would have said, we need to pay off the building, so we're gonna do the cup of coffee. We're gonna do the cup of coffee. The cup of coffee fund, the cup of coffee campaign, the cup of coffee campaign. Then Dollar Does It, that song would have been named Cup of Coffee Campaign. Whatever you would have said over the pulpit that it was, that's what I would have named this process. So when you said building fund, my heart leaped up and said, oh, snaps, I know what to do. Now, I didn't even know that I had already done this before. I just know that I knew what to do. So then I go to start working on it. Because when you say that's a mobilization order. We need to do, because that's how dumb I was. Okay? Dumb or brilliant, whichever you want to call it. You could have named it the foot massage campaign, and Dollar Does It song that I made would have been called foot massage campaign. Whatever you would have said it was, that's what I would have named it. And then this process that I described in the song, I attached that process to that name. So when you, Pastor Brian, so here it is. So here's the difference between the Pastor Brian version of the Dollar Does It and the Matt Ellipsis version of the Dollar Does It. Pastor Brian's version of the Dollar Does It says, get $1 from everybody. To a degree, Pastor Brian is wired a little bit like multi-level marketing. A little bit. In other words, go to your down trace and get $1 from everybody and bring it up the hierarchy so that we can pay off the building. Call everybody, whatever you got to do, just get them $1. Get $1. That's all. Right? However they want to get it, they give it to you. Boom. Now, for me, at the time, when he said building fund, the term building fund, God made louder than get $1 from everybody. Somehow he made that louder. So when I wrote the song, I didn't write get $1 from everybody, because I personally am anti multi-level marketing. I hate multi-level marketing. I hate it so much. And because I'm a government employee and a soldier, we don't ask for money. My dad told me when I was growing up, don't ask for money. I don't ask for money. When you guys gave, my wife initiated a process for you guys to help us pay our propane bill because it was cold. My process in order to solve a lot of problems is seed time and harvest, which is nothing more than what the dollar does it thing for me was seed time and harvest. You plant a seed and you reap a business idea. And then you go work the business idea because you planted the seed into God. God gave you so you reap the business idea from God. That's the way mine works. So that's whenever there's a problem. And I heard somebody said this. And I've heard it more than once, but somebody said, if what you have in your hand is not enough to meet your need, it's probably a seed. And so then I go back to all of the seed time and harvest and faith discussions and sermons that Pastor Brian has put, and that's what take the seed, and I name the seed. So I know what the seed is coming back, whatever, I know. So I paid attention, and the way that a farmer knows that when he planted corn or planted cranberries or planted a tree, he knows what it looks like and knows I planted it here. So when I come back here, this is where my harvest is at. That's the way I've become with my seed time and harvest thing. That's why I'm so weird like I am. I'm weird like this because I actually believed in the sermons that Pastor Brian taught. And that's how dumb I am. I'm dumb to think that seed time and harvest actually works. I'm really dumb to think that that's what we're supposed to be doing as Christians. I'm dumb to think that. I'm dumb enough to do it. And now I'm seeing results from it. So I look crazy because I'm doing harvest activities, and harvest activities are not a church activity. Usually seed time activity is church activity. Harvest time activity is stuff that, we just don't do as a church. I have never harvested with a whole church ever. I've only harvested with individuals because the harvest is plenty, but the labor's are few. And people don't have patience for harvests. However long this video is going on, this is part of harvest activity. People don't have patience for it. People just don't. I'm supposed to have patience to listen to the sermons for years and go and go, even if God has shown me the doggone sermon before the preacher even preaches it, I'm still supposed to sit there and humor everybody. And that's why it's a dumb facade. That's why to me church is dumb right now. I'm not saying it's always dumb, but it's dumb right now. And for 2 years, I'm doing something that Pastor Brian taught. Right? Pastor Brian taught. He said, and I believe this was in 2009, before I went to California. He said, what if you spent 1 month doing everything that you know to do, doing what God wants you to do, and you did not give yourself any red lights or any barriers, any limitations. Do what God wants you to do for 1 month and see what happens. I trust Pastor Brian's words, which he, especially when he's preaching, He is an extension of the kingdom of God. So if he said it while he was up there, most likely God is using him to say what he's got to say. And that's not blasphemy or haughtiness to say that's the man of God speaking for the Lord. We understand that. It's not blasphemous for me to believe that if God issued that directive or that challenge, and I take that challenge, it's not odd for me to expect that there's going to be some results. Because I said, Lord, I'll do you one better. Since you told me 1 month, let me give you 2 or 3 months. And I did it. And I saw some results. I saw so many results that I planned seasons to do that and make that a regular part of my life. So this right here is going to be a lengthy 2-year period, 2020 and 2021. No limitations. I'm taking a Christian concept, a throwaway line from Pastor Brian. I'm taking that one thing, that one concept, and I'm going to do 2 years on that concept, along with other stuff, of course. But I'm taking that concept, and on the calendar, that's a 2-year time. And watch what happens. That's why I'm making this recording, because it's people, whoever's gonna listen to this, they're gonna struggle just to get to the end of it. Now, I've never struggled to get to listen to all the sermons that people put out. I've never struggled. Hey, if I start listening to it and then I'm getting a lot of stuff, I'll pause it, do whatever it is that I got to do to get it, and then I unpause, or I listen to it 20, 30 times. And it's going to be so fun for me to watch people struggle to listen to me for an hour or longer. But yet, when I function, and after 2 years of me doing what I'm telling people that they can do, all I'm saying is there's some harvest sitting there. There's some work attached to it, but there's some harvest sitting there. And I start grabbing my harvest. Now in 2 years, man, can you finance this? Whoa, when I send it to your inbox, I told you what I was finna do. 2 years, 0 limitations. I'm going to be calling stuff dumb. I'm going to be making business moves. I'm going to be interacting with people that I've never interacted with. I'm going to be making friends. I'm going to be putting my show in all type of places. And I'm going to take every harvest that I know about, and I am going to connect myself with all them harvests, and I'm going to pull them all in for me and my family. And those in the Ellipsis district. And those that are in my sphere of influence. And I'm not about to explain and convince anybody of anything. Because here's another Pastor Brian Christian concept. Here's another one. Don't chase people down with your insights and revelation. Get results and they'll chase you down. The problem that I'm having, and the thing that I'm kind of upset about, is that I know that I'm going to get the results. And I know what these 2 years are going to look like for me. And it's going to hurt my heart to see people that I love and that love me to have knowingly ignored me for years when they could have helped me move this thing forward, withheld resources that I so desperately could have used, and then in 2021, 2022, hey Matt, we want to benefit off of what you've done for the past couple years. Because that's really going to be the bottom line of it. I'm going to be so sad that they didn't have time for me throughout all these years. Because I already see it. To a degree, it's already happening. I just got an email when I was switching cameras, switching the batteries out of the camera. I just got an email from somebody that less than 2 years ago, I presented them with what I do, and they ignored the crap out of me. And they ignored the crap out of my buddy, my partner. And he was presenting with them, and they stole from him. And we were on separate paths at that time. And now we've joined forces, and I'm harvesting, not hustling. I'm definitely not a hustler. I'm harvesting. And the results are manifesting very amazingly. And now I get an email from them which is and the email that I got is only one part of what's supposed to happen. But it's a small way to say, hey, could you come do what you're doing over here with us? That's why I'm putting this in a video. It's got a date stamp. And I'm emailing it to everybody that I know who is specific to this situation. Choose to do with it what you want to do with it. Because now I'm in the dollar does it harvest discussion. Choose to do what you want to do with it. You can ignore it. Or you can do your part to help pay off this church. CCI. CCI has been there for a lot of people. Okay? CCI is one of the best churches in America. And there's a lot of good churches in America, and CCI is not a slouch of a church. CCI is a wonderful place to be. Now I'm going to explain how this dollar does it harvest works. Because one of the things in our discussion with in my discussion with Pastor Brian was that there were a lot of people in his ear saying, Pastor Brian, we should do this and we should do that. And the thing that Pastor Brian was frustrated with is he said, if you just do what I'm asking you to do, the way that I'm asking you to do it, it'll work. And I was not mentally or I wasn't mentally or positionally able to do what Pastor Brian needed done in his version of the Dollar Does It program. I was a paralegal with the military. While I was in California, after I was a sound man for a year, right? Then there was a 3-year gap, and then when I came back from California, Conclave Download and Well Performing. So in the 3 years that I wasn't coming to church regularly, I had to take another master sergeant, another person who was my rank, a master sergeant, E8. I had to take that person out of their position, and they got demobilized, and we had to cut off his we had to cut off his work, we had to fire the dude because he was asking people for money. What Pastor Brian was asking me to do with all of my military contacts, I couldn't do it because it would have been breaking the rules and breaking the law. We can't ask people for money. There's one way to ask for money in the military as a military dude. There's one way. And I believe that also extends to civilians too. We can't go to work with our Girl Scout cookies. We can't go to work with our little private little Mary Kay businesses. Hey, whatever. People may know about it, and on the outside, it can work. But you got to be real shrewd and real wise about it. And I've been in the military since I was 17 years old, and I'm just now retired. So I've never been able to obey Pastor Brian on the ask everybody for $1 thing from all my military people. All the people I know from the military, none of them, I could never, if I even asked one, I could have got in trouble. So all this time, I've had to be disobedient to what Pastor Brian wanted. Now, I know he doesn't take that personally. I know that, and maybe he just doesn't understand that part. But for other people, it should have been easy. You just go ask everybody in your network. But how hard is it to ask people for $1? It shouldn't be hard, but it was hard for me. It was hard for me. Now, outside of my military connections, then I got my family, and then my only friends were church people and rappers. My church people, we all are tapped out, giving tithes at the maximum, blah blah blah, and everybody I know is everybody that Pastor Brian. And no, on the church side, they already know about $1. Hey, why don't you give Pastor Brian $1? Or give me $1 for CCI. Hey, I already gave him $1. Oh, what about another $1? No, I already gave $3. Sorry, forgive me. Don't call me no more. Sorry, please forgive me. I said don't call me no more about no dollars. Click. I've already been, you know what I'm saying? It's like, now, so that's Pastor. So now, though, here's the thing. My version of the Dollar Does It is completed. It's finished. So, and now I'm retired. And now I have a platform. I got over 1,000 Facebook friends. I won't get the number now, but you can just look on my Facebook right now. Look at my Facebook, you can see how many friends I got. Some of them military, some of them Chicagoans, and some of them just all over. Whatever. These are not all the friends I got, these are just the ones I got on Facebook. But now, I can tell all my 1,000 people, hey, give me $1 and send it there. If you send, because here's the thing, I like giving people value back. Because send Pastor Brian $1. I'm able to do that. So you'll see me do a video that complies finally with that. Because now I can put it out there, hey, please give Pastor Brian $1. I can do that. So out of my people, I should be able to get at least $1,000. I seen my wife do it. My wife put out some stuff or whatever, and she was able to raise some money. Bless the Lord. Other people that have done online fundraising and do their fundraising thing, I should be able to, with my network of Facebook friends, just specifically Facebook, I should be able to say, hey, give $1, and then they give $1 to Pastor Brian. I should be able to do that now. My paperwork is once it comes in the mail, I know for sure. Right now I can do it. But once I got my retirement paperwork that says you're retired, then I know I can do it. You see what I'm saying? I know I can do it. I know it. And I'm not breaking no rules at all. Nobody can accuse me of nothing because bam, I'm retired. Right now something could happen and mess it up, and I'm not trying to mess nothing up. You see what I'm saying? So, that's the Pastor Brian version. Ask everybody in your network for $1. Anybody that's listening to me, that's how you be obedient to the Pastor Brian version of the Dollar Does It. Go ask everybody for $1 and bring the $1 to Pastor Brian. Boom. Now that I can do that version finally, I'm going to do it. Here is the Dollar Does It version that here's what I meant when I said Dollar Does It. You can listen to the song on your own. Dollar Does It. I got two versions of the song. I got the original version, and then I got a second version that I was, because the first beat, somebody gave me the beat, and I just did it. I don't even know where the beat came from. All I know is when I heard that beat, it sounded like Dollar Does It, and I just blah, 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 wrote the song, wrote the first verse, and put it out there to the church. That was a local to the church release. It should never get out beyond the church, because that beat, I don't know where it came from. Like originally, I know where I got it from, but I don't know where it came from. That's not a vetted beat. It's just whatever. Now, I don't mind putting it out there for people to hear it because I'll deal with the ramifications, but it's not a song that I'm making money off of. I'm not selling that song. You see what I'm saying? That's a song, I'm just gonna play it. You can hear the doggone original version. You know what I'm saying? At this point, whatever. Whoever is mad, if I stole their beat, however it got to me, you know how like I said, I know how I got it. But whoever, hey, that's my beat, you did, then I can settle up with them. That's easy, right? The second version of the song, I bought the beat, so it's my beat, and I did this, and it has two verses. So, and part of the song, it says it's paid off in the spirit. Because here's the deal. All right, so here's my version of the Dollar Does It. First of all, Pastor Brian's version of Dollar Does It. When Pastor Brian says Dollar Does It, he means go get $1 from everybody in your network. And that should bring us to over $1 million to pay off the church. Simple idea. My version is just as simple, but it requires more faith. Pastor Brian's version requires more action. Mine requires more faith. Here it is. Part one is take $1 and sow it into the church. Part two, reap a business idea. Part three, go do that business idea. Part four, Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla bless the business. And then part five, harvest is plenty. Take whatever from the harvest, pay off the building, and do whatever else you want to do. Because there's enough money and there's enough harvest for everybody to do everything they want to do. I'm not going to tell the whole story in this one. I'm going to do a separate Dollar Does It discussion where I tell the details as best as I can, because it's long. This thing, the Dollar Does It, I'm going to tell it as short as I can. When I got saved in the Pentecostal Holiness Church, They told me rap was of the devil. So I stopped rapping. So there's a year where I was not a rapper as a Christian. Then, and I was a tither. So, and that church taught me how to tithe, very technical. 10% plus blah, blah, blah. And I'm talking about, we went over tithing. It was deep. I was given at the maximum capacity that I could give. And the only money I had left over, I wasn't saving no money for nothing. I wasn't even buying a bunch of food. I was eating at the chow hall, and I would buy once in a while, I would buy a freaking burger or two from this restaurant that I love to eat at. I would have just enough money for gas so I could get back and forth to the church and back and forth to work. I wasn't buying no clothes. I wasn't buying no music. I wasn't buying no nothing. All I was doing was giving up. This is the first, when I first got saved, before I met Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla. Before 1998. So from 1996 up until 1998, from 1996 to 1997, for that year that I was a Christian, it was a year and change that I was a Christian out there in Texas, in Killeen, Texas, where I got saved. All I did was give my money to the church, go to church 4 days a week, and I didn't save money for none of my future stuff. Nothing future. Because the church wasn't preaching future. The church was preaching Jesus could come back at any moment. I'm 19 and 20. Jesus could come back. I didn't know I was ever going to see 30 years old because Jesus was coming back. Then one day, everybody's been tithing properly and correctly. We done went over it multiple times. One day, the pastor comes in sweating. Building fund. Oh, building fund. We need to do something about the building fund. And so I went home in distress, because if the pastor's distressed, I'm distressed. Lord, what are we gonna do? I'm already sit down with my budget. As little money as I was making at that time, I think I was making maybe like $1,600 a month. And I'm giving 10% of that, plus another offering on top of that. And I said not just another offering, meaning like a little, it wasn't miles. It was I was giving that $1,200 or $1,300 on the 1st and 15th comes out to freaking $700 every paycheck. So by the time it was next time to get paid, I didn't have no leftover nothing. I was giving everything to them because it was like, we got tithe. Got to make sure you got to give God. God loves the cheerful giver. You need to get over here and get to God. Come on now. We got another offering. Blah, 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 blah. And I was buying the hook, line, and sinker. So I was doing it the right way. And then the pastor's still distressed. We got to do something about this beautiful. So I go home and said, Lord, what we going to do? He said, I need you to pick up the pen. I need you to write some music. I said, Lord, it's of the devil. He said, that's what he said. That's not what I said. I said, oh, snaps. So I made a cassette tape. And before I duplicated it, I went to church on Wednesday night. Anybody needs a prayer? I go up and I say, sir, God told me to make this tape. So could you please pray for me and pray for it so that it be successful? It's for the building fund. Well, I don't like rap, but I'm going to go ahead and pray for it anyway. He prays for it, blesses me, blesses the music, and then I ended up, so I made like $60 or $70, and I gave all of it to the church, plus as many cassette tapes they could have that I was able to muster up and give. I kept a few of them so I could come home, and I came home to Chicago because once I planted the seed, I was whisked away. It was time to go. And I was like, oh my God, I thought I was going to be here to watch and help a pastor stressing out, building fund. Wait, I'm leaving. Wait, I'm leaving? I'm leaving? I'm leaving? Oh, snaps. Oh no, I'm leaving. So I hurry up, give them the money, and I leave. And I come to CCW under the leadership of Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla, under youth ministry. So I came as a 2-year-old baby Christian. So that was part one. By the time I got to CCW, part one was already done. In 2002, my wife and I were asked to come down to Texas, come down back to my old stomping grounds where I got saved, right? So that's 1997, when I think it was late 97, early 1998 is when I joined CCW under the leadership of Pastor Brian, Pastor Carla in youth ministry, right? So that's 1997, 98. And 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. So less than 4 years later, less than 4 years later, roughly, no, less than 5 years later, I'm asked to go back. This is 2002. I'm asked to come back and I do a performance out in Texas. So I got the video footage of that. And of course, when I go back to Texas, I am not about to go back without going to visit my old church. I go back to visit my old church, it's a brand new location. It's a brand new church. They're in the same location, but they done bought all the land around it. They done got this big, humongous, gigantic church now, and they got a special area for the youth, which I still consider myself a youth, even though at that particular point, the youth ministry had kind of disbanded because Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla was asked to leave. Or told to leave, however it worked out. So there was no more youth ministry at that particular point. But at the church that I went to, People's Choice, the church that I gave the seed or whatever to, now I got a chance to see part B, the harvest. And so part of that harvest was number one, I got a friendship with Daphne, who was a little baby, little baby girl, when I first became a Christian at their church, right? The second part of it was they let me rap in front of the church. They let me rap in the youth or whatever. I got that video's up there. All you got to do is put Ellipsis, put the People's Choice. That video will pop up. You'll see that right there was the harvest, or the second part of the harvest of that seed, because I'm celebrating the fact that the church is paid off. They ain't got no bills. And it's a big, gigantic, it's wow. Now I know my little dumb little seed didn't do everything. I know it didn't. How you gonna take $60-something and turn it into the whole church? And it wasn't my responsibility to do the whole thing. I was supposed to do what I was supposed to do and connect with faith. And my buddy was still down there, so he got a chance to see the deal, the actual what happened. So I got his testimony, and we've already recorded a portion of it. So this is a whole thing. This is a whole story about the dollar does it. I got a whole thing about it. Right? So now, part A and part B, I got both of them done. I sold at the beginning when the church was small and in need, and I came and hung out with them when it was done. So I got a chance to see the fulfillment of what was needed or whatever. It felt good. I didn't know that was the dollar does it because it didn't have a name to me. It was just seed time and harvest. I didn't have a name for it. It was just in there. So now I'm built that way. I'm built that way. Building fund, you tell me building fund, I know what to do. Seed time and harvest. So then, and this happened in 2002. So it was before CCI had officially opened its doors, and way before you even bought the building. It's way before that. And I told you, God had told me to move over there 2 years before we did. So I had in me the technology of paying off the church, and I didn't know it, but the technology was there. And listen, what I'm saying sounds dumb, and you don't have to believe me. Nobody has to believe me. I don't care if anybody believes me. That's why I'm making the tape, because here's the thing. Here's why. I don't care if anybody believes me. Because not only did this part happen, but then I did the dollar does it idea myself. That was the foreshadowing of dollar does it. Didn't have a name. Then when Pastor Brian said building fund, building fund, building fund. Listen, let me tell you, before building fund, building fund, building fund, right, dollar does it. Before that, I need to explain the pledges. Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla. Oh, snaps, the battery's about to die. Shoot. Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla. The church had these pledges. $1,000 pledge. Me and my wife, we pledged $1,000 and then we used the credit card to pay the pledge. So that was it. We wasn't trying to pledge no $2 and $3 and $5 and $6,000. We were just pledging the $1,000 because that's all we had. We didn't even have the $1,000. That we ended up paying that over time. So we paid 18%, or if we even paid the credit card. I don't even know if we paid the credit. Man, listen, we paid $1,000 pledge at the time that it was needed, and that was it. We didn't pledge the second time. Later on, a couple years later, somebody had called Valerie and me, and I probably still got the email, where they said, hey, you guys never paid your pledge. We said, yes, we paid our pledge. You never paid it. Yes, we did. Here's the information of us paying the pledge or something like that, whatever. Then it comes back, okay, yeah, but you guys paid another $1,000. Wait a minute, hold on, wait. First you told us that we didn't pay the pledge. But we did pay the pledge. And you tried to lead me to believe that we didn't pay the pledge. But I proved to you that we paid the pledge. Or my wife proved to you that, I'm just generalizing the conversation. Now that I've proved, or that my wife and we proved that we paid the pledge, now you're saying, well, you paid another pledge and you didn't pay that pledge. Hold on. No, we didn't make another pledge. Because we're smart enough to have Ecclesiastes. It's better to not make a vow than to make it and not fulfill the vow. No, we didn't even have the first pledge. We paid that off a credit card. So we definitely didn't have another. We're not finna go into debt. We're already in debt. Because at this particular point, I got a $187,000 mortgage now. I ain't never had no doggone mortgage before. And church all throughout the years, nobody been teaching me about freaking regular life. All I'm being taught about is building fund and church money stuff. The only person that's giving me an education on freaking paying bills and living a life at home is my wife. My wife is teaching me how to freaking pay bills. Because I was paying bills, but I suck at paying bills, and I suck at all this freaking life stuff, because all I've been doing is doing what church want me to do, and doing what the army want me to do. So now, I got my own mortgage. I got a $187,000 mortgage. I got $1,200 per month I got to pay for my mortgage. And then $1,000, whoa, hold on. Wait a minute. We didn't make no other pledge. So then building fund comes up. And the same thing that I did back in the day with the Lord, and I didn't even think about that. I wasn't even thinking about that. That stuff was old news. Because God had been so good to me, and so I've been, man, God has been good. My wife has been good to me. The church has been good to me. Everybody's been good to me. I didn't even remember this. But I did the same thing I did at that point. I said, Lord, what are we going to do? Building fund. And then I got my own problems. He said, Matt, make the song. Dollar does it. So I made the song. So I wrote the song, and in the song, it gave me instructions. While I was writing the foreshadowing plan. If you listen to it, you'll hear the plan of what you're supposed to do. And when I finished writing the song, I said, oh snaps, Lord, this is the plan. Oh. So I did the plan. After I wrote the song, I went to church. And of course, there was a season where we were playing the song and blah, 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 whatever. My wife says she don't like the screaming. A dollar does what? My wife said, I don't like all that screaming and the freaking thing, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And, that train momentum, it just, I can't even believe that I actually memorized the lyrics to that song. It was that new or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so I came to church and I put $1 into an envelope and I wrote on the envelope my seed. Now, I didn't just do it one time. I did it multiple times because the foreshadowing lets me know that it's gonna work. And here it is. In the song I become irresponsive to my feelings. I'm walking by decrees. Would it be in my decider what a shell is what I see? It's hard to calculate the fullness and relate my faith and pull it in one definition. Put it like this, I've been birthed with many visions. So I got these visions, and the dollar does it program the formula, like I told you, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I put all my visions into that formula where I would bring the money to the church, put it into the offering, and then I would name each seed as what that vision or business or idea was. Now, so that's the first part, plant the seed. Then you reap the idea. And not only do you reap the idea, it's a God idea, which means it's going to work. It ain't no if, nothing. It's going to work because God's word works. This is not no I tried that, Pastor. Gospel. If it ain't working, you get with God so that it can work. Here's another Pastor Brian discussion. When you go to the light switch, you don't ask all the details. How come this light came on? No, you hit the switch, lights come on. You plant the seed, reap the God idea. You can trust the God idea. You don't plant the seed, you got an idea, it's cool. God might be in part in the idea, cool. But when you plant the seed and you reap the idea, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. So you just flow and work it. One of the seeds that was sown became Conclave Download, or what people know as Conclave Download. And what God showed me, and now I'm finna cut it short because my battery's about to die, is that in 2004, okay? In 2004, Conclave Download was asked as a group to come every couple of weeks and share music. So I would travel from Toma down to Chicago Heights, 6-hour drive every 2 weeks so that we could share our music for the congregation. That was the church and Pastor Brian as the leader and Pastor Carla as the leader blessing the business of Conclave Download, which currently now is a record company. Conclave Download Records exists, and that along with some other things, like Pastor Carla said, that I'm good ground. So I attached things that Pastor Carla said to what Conclave Download is currently. Now, that iteration in 2014 of Conclave Download, that was the fulfillment of the Dollar Does It program as I presented it. And so the harvest, as God told me over the past month, right? And listen, you can believe me or not believe me. I don't care if you believe me or not. It doesn't matter to me, because because here's the thing. Here's the Conclave Download, that Dollar Does It harvest for me. Here's what I reaped. I reaped a building that is not on a foreclosure building that is not on my record. So I don't have anything on my credit report that's more than like $2,000 or $3,000. This $187,000 failure, I was able to extract all the good stuff out of it, and it doesn't even affect my credit report. You go on my credit report right now, not even there. Reaped over $20,000 coming back from something that was stolen from me by the IRS. Reaped a solid new home for Conclave Download records to thrive in for the next for season 2 of Conclave Download. I reaped a career in television and radio. I reaped a record company called Faith Jam Productions saying to me, Matt, let's take your music and I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to get you some. I'm going to take your music career forward. I have so many things that have come out of just planting that $1 bill and applying faith, and CCI ground, boom, harvest in my life. And I'm going to talk about these in depth over the next several years because it is so good. CCI is so good. And what God showed me is that CCI, this harvest, this Dollar Does It harvest, has been sitting in, around, on top of, underneath. The whole church is sitting right on its harvest to pay off the building fund. It's just sitting there. All that needs to happen is the church members, past, present, and future. All church members, past, present, and future. Anybody that was ever connected with CCI at any point, all they got to do, tap into that Dollar Does It concept. Part 1, sow $1. Part 2, reap a business idea. Part 3, do the business with all of everything you can. 4, Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla bless that business. Part 5, take what you get, pay off the church. Pay it off. So you can do, now, while this one, my version of the Dollar Does It, while that one is in place, anybody can do it. And I'm be watching, because I'm already reaping. So I'm already going to be in a position. I'm already personally going to be in a position to pay the church off myself. Now listen, that sounds haughty and that sounds proud. But guess what? In 2 years, in 2021, when I'm in that position, what did everybody do for the past 2 years? For 2020 and 2021. I told you it was sitting there the whole time. And God, and listen, I am a harvester. I'm not a hustler. I'm a harvester. I ain't asking nobody for money because I don't want nobody thinking that their money was part of my success at all. I'm doing the sowing, and when the reaping, I know it. And guess what? Here's the thing. Here's the reason why the camouflage. The camouflage because, I can't. I'm finna make it too long. God knows how to hide the harvest. So people be walking past it all the time, don't even know it's there. And there's a reason that it's been sitting there since 2014. There's a reason. And when I mentioned about, so I brought a 300, one of the 300, or a type of the 300. I brought them to church. Church didn't do nothing to bless that person, right? I brought a Chicagoan down to the church. Church didn't do nothing to bless them. They left there feeling worse than they came. So there's a reason that probably the harvest has not been seen. And we're still in needing the building to be paid off, I guess. Now, if the building don't need to be paid off and I got it wrong, hey, please let me know. I'll take down all this video footage and it could be a forgotten topic. But as far as I know, this is what I know. And this is not a prophetic word at all. And I don't care if anybody believes me. You can listen to it and be like, man, this dude is a dummy. Guess what? I agree. I'm a dummy. I'm dumb enough to spend $1 and bring $1 to the church and write on the doggone envelope some dumb stuff. I'm dumb enough to actually believe that I reaped from that. I'm dumb enough to believe that. But is it virgin birth? Faith. Resurrected from the dead? Faith. Take $1 and write your business idea on the doggone dumb envelope and reap a dumb idea that you run with. Faith. It's all dumb. Ecclesiastes calls it meaningless. Calls everything meaningless. It's all meaningless. Because to be honest with you, why do we even need the church building in anyway? Why do we even need it? For me personally, right? If I can't bring a military person to the church and know that they're going to get the same level quality of ministry that Pastor Brian gave me and Pastor Carla gave me, why would I bring anybody to church? If I can't bring a Chicagoan, if I'm driving from up here and I get all the way to Southside Chicago, bring him down to the church. So one was a woman, one was a guy. And that experience sucked. So this dollar does it harvest, I don't even want Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla to even be involved in that harvest. That's something all the members, past, present, and future, anybody, all they gotta do is do them 5 steps. Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla, all they should have to do is bless your business. And you can make it all ceremonial, come up on a Wednesday night, get prayed for, or you can just write in the thing and let them pray for the doggone piece of paper. Whatever. However, for us, it was standing up in front of everybody, and that was where the blessing came in. For Conclave Download, which now one of the members is gone. Why did Joseph and Jeff, why are they no longer members of the church? I mean, I got an idea, but my point is that it's because it's done. The building fund is done. Conclave Download was the harvest from my specific seed of the dollar dozen program as I saw it. Now that it's done, now I'm gonna work the Pastor Brian way. I'm gonna ask everybody for $1. And then while I'm doing that, I'm gonna do my best to collect as much money on Pastor Brian's idea, and I'm gonna let my idea just sit there. Cause I don't care if nobody get the harvest from that. I don't care. I could care less. I'm in the world, but I'm not of it. So what I'm gonna do is, after I finish doing it this way, that Pastor Brian say, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see who paid attention, or whatever, and Pastor Brian and Pastor Carla and you all, everybody's going to know what the results was of what happened with that version of Dollar Dozen. It's been sitting there since 2014. And then what I'm going to do down the road at a certain given time, I'm going to come back and I'm going to take all the harvest. Because if don't nobody else want the harvest, I'm taking it. Because here's another thing. This is what you got to understand about me. I found out recently, within the past month, I'm a cranberry. I thought I was supposed to be planted like a tree in Psalm 1. I'm a cranberry. Anything that I'm involved in, especially with this seed time and harvest thing, that I feel very, very confident in, it reaps for 50 to 75 years. Look up a cranberry. Cranberries reap, you plant it one time. You do some maintenance on it over each year, but you plant it one time and then you reap from it for 50 to 75 years. Ask the cranberry lady. Matter of fact, you'll be able to look at it in an interview that I've got that's out there. And I will be talking about this on a wider scale because now I know how to pay off these church buildings. Now, it's Dollar Dozen. I might give it a different name because obviously Dollar Dozen, I had it wrong. I should have called it Cup of Coffee Campaign. That's what I should have called it. Because then me and Pastor Brian wouldn't have been on two different pages. All these years. I'm a dummy. I'm a dummy for believing in this word. And I'm happy about it. So, if you listen to this whole thing, bless you. I promise you I wasn't rambling. And I'm grateful that anybody would listen to me for any amount of time. Especially right now when I'm definitely a nobody. So, bless you. I'll be putting out more content about this, but I think because the final harvest, the all hands on deck harvest, that harvest, what God hit me with, I think he hit me with over the past couple of hours while I was doing this recording was, that's why he keeps, remember all that water that I was bringing to the church? That's part of the all hands on deck harvest. So I don't know if that harvest is ripe yet or not. I don't know yet. All I know is that every time I come to town, it's a big deal to me to go get me some water from Sam's Club and drop it off at the church. I don't know why. I'm just being obedient. And it's dumb. It's dumb for me to bring water that anybody else can go buy. All I should be, I could just give somebody $10 to $15 and they go to Sam's Club and get the water themselves. But for some reason, it was important for me to go find Sam's Club, wherever doggone Sam's Club is, and bring the water and leave it out there in the middle of the, and then drive all the way back 6 hours. You know. Anyway, so that's one piece, I guess, of the all hands on deck harvest. And I think I need to understand Pastor Carla's intention for all hands on deck, because when that song, my son loves that song. And again, every harvest I'm involved in, 50 to 75 years of harvesting. The 300 military people, 50 to 75 years of harvesting, of support that you're going to get from these people. The Chicagoans, that one, I wasn't involved in your Chicagoan sowing, except, but I'm going to be involved, hopefully I'll be involved in helping out, because this is such a delight for me. I love, man, please, I want to be involved in Pastor Carla and Pastor Brian. Oh no. You are now listening to NM3dots.com. free download. Thank you for your support. You are now listening to nm3dots.com. Free download. Thank you for your support.
This is not a secret, tight hole like no spiteful, lack of insightful, not no rival. Society, hold no eye, it's irony. Cattle on 1,000, my propriety. More than the zeitgeist, hands down decidedly. The king of Babylon ate pine, then opined of me. Some of the council said finally. I'm patient, think refinery. Think about the peace, be still, voice, real choice, third seal, big reveal it all. Lay hands, heal them all. Cast the net, get them all. Highways, byways, meet them all. Banquet, invite, met them all. Set them all down, break bread ass. If it was the last, I just makes you crash. But let's not let this moment pass. Because when you grasp it, you'll remember.
When you do this, please don't do it in the frivolous ambivalence as traditionally. See what I mean? Do this in remembrance, please remember me. Please, oh please, don't do it in the frivolous ambivalence as traditionally. See what I mean? Do this in remembrance, please.
In the era of the first dot, I faced all my fears. Second dot era, time to manifest my beard. It don't grow long, but it is triumphant. Mad Ellipsis afro, Amish city bumpkin. When I shave, they say I look 25. When I was in my 40s, it felt good to be alive. I thrive in discomfort cause I know when my cheese move. She mistakes it for macho, my cheese move. Foresight, 2036 vision. Nobody earthly can stop my mission. I said that I must and I did what God projected. Underground sound, kingdom music is protected by the orange, purple, gold of the district. Whenever you see me, I'm about my father's business. That's why every song got anointment on it. You can let your kids listen without cringing what's on it. The music of today needs a tweak from the king. That's why I'm persisting with the message that I bring. In the third dot era, everybody sings. That's why I'm persisting with the message that I bring. In the era of the first dot, I made full proof. Second dot era, my proof bears fruit. Don't forget m3dots.com.
Do this in remembrance, please remember me. When you do this, please don't do it in the frivolous ambivalence as traditionally. See what I mean? Do this in remembrance, please remember me. Please, oh please, don't do it in the frivolous ambivalence as traditionally. See what I mean? Do this in remembrance, please. The wafer represents the word. It took flesh when you ingest. You know you are blessed. The juice is just a taste of redemption. Oh, the blood was shed for you. The wafer represents the word. It took flesh when you ingest. You know you are blessed. The juice is just a taste of redemption. Oh, the blood was shed for you. When you do this, please don't do it in the frivolous ambivalence as traditionally. See what I mean? Do this in remembrance, please remember me. Please, oh please, don't do it in the frivolous ambivalence as traditionally. See what I mean? Do this in remembrance, please remember me. Represents the word. It took flesh when you ingest. You know you are blessed. The juice is just a taste of redemption. Oh, the blood was shed for you. The wafer represents the word. It took flesh when you ingest. You know you are blessed. The juice is just a taste of redemption. Oh, the blood was shed for you.